Hello and welcome, folks, to a very special edition of RSF Radio, the penultimate edition, in fact, before Capcom Cup. And I wanted to get on the show the one person in my mind who had to be the guy who knows all the information. He's got it all up there. I'm not convinced he's a computer. AceKingOffsuit, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I don't know if I'm a computer.
I think you might be. You might be a creation of. You might be a bot. I don't know because how would a human get all that information? How would someone get all the scheduling information and make it easily available for everybody? How is that possible?
It's because no one else is doing it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wish it was like some sort of big, prolific, magnanimous answer. Like, when I was 13, my sister got run over and nearly died because she didn't know what time the event was supposed to start. No, it's just other people weren't doing it. Like,
wait. Did you just construct a superhero story for you? You've already mapped it out. We know it's like you're.
That's just one of many possibilities.
There was a tragic traffic accident which happened never again, and now she
didn't die. She didn't die in this story. That's important because then it's a tragedy. If as long as she's okay,
it's not an Uncle Ben situation.
No.
Instead, she's confined to like a wheelchair, perhaps.
No, not even that.
No?
I just pulled her out. Like she got hit in the toe.
It was a horrific toe injury, and never again has any bracket run late. Man, speaking of traffic accidents, by the way, I'm going to do an aside here because I saw something on the way home from work yesterday that blew my fucking mind. So I was driving, and on the side of the road, a car was 100% on fire. Like the whole thing.
100% on fire?
Front to back, big flames going up, 100% on fire. I round the bend, and just out of view, there is a cop like pulled up behind someone, pulling him over for a traffic stop. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Never mind. Don't worry about the full-on car that's fully on fire. Get your ticket. That's fine. Don't worry about.
You got to keep those funds coming.
It was 100% on fire, and it had that bad burning plastic smell. When I drove, it was very bad.
I would imagine so if it's 100% on fire.
100.
That's almost as scary. Well, I don't know if it was scary, but I came home either last week or the week before, and there was a fire truck outside my apartment building next to an ambulance. Next to a police car. So I'm walking up to the front door, and as I'm walking up, the policeman is coming out, and he's got this huge ass knife in his hand that he's just carrying, along with some random shoe. And I say, is it good to go in? Like, yeah, you're fine.
Somehow the shoe was more alarming in that in that interaction. I was almost not very alarmed until you said, other hand, shoe.
Well, because, you can imagine a cop carrying a knife for a bunch of different reasons. But if if he's carrying the shoe and the knife at the same time, there has to be some value to the shoe.
Something went down.
I don't know. Something went down, but it's fine. It's cool.
Yeah, he's equipped like a Tekken character or something. He's holding it in his hands. Whatever they got, holding in his hands.
Items are on.
Yeah, items all the way on.
It's going to be like one stock smash in the parking lot. First to one.
Yeah, items on. You throw the shoe. It's a bad situation.
You got to hit.
Or actually, do they have shoes in Smash? I have not played the new Smash. Is there a Smash item that's a shoe?
I would assume so. I don't even have a Switch.
Oh man, the Switch is good. It's good. It is the boyhood dream of if I could play video games while I poop. But these are full-on video games.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. You have so many mid-poop options.
That's true.
Nowadays.
That's true. I'm not even reaching for the shampoo ball anymore. I'm not even doing that.
You got a phone? You've got a mid-poop gaming behemoth.
Yeah, that's true. I have distractions. Don't need to be stuck there.
So
if anyone can, people back in my day, all we had was the shampoo bottle. I'm gonna start an Instagram account that's just the backs of shampoo bottles for people to read while they go to the bathroom.
Oh God,
that's my 2019 moneymaker. Social media platform is backs of shampoo bottles.
You know what's scary is that's somebody's thing.
I
guarantee you that is somebody's thing.
That's 100%.
Like you will,
100%.
You'll get like 95 ironic followers, and then 2 or 3 who are like, "This fills a void."
Yeah,
that is
shampoo. I need that L'Oreal for kids.
Oh God!
Yeah, that took a dark turn right there.
So how about that Street Fighter, huh? How's that Street fighting going?
I do have to ask you because this is actually something. It's a little late into the recording. Don't typically do this late, but we filled it with some garbage. That's fine. I have to ask, what do you got going on? Pitch what you have. What's up?
Oh man. Well, I just finished up my writing for the Tekken World Tour website this season, tekkenworldtour.com. As that season just concluded about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, which was a great finals, by the way.
It was ridiculous. It was absolutely insane.
Very exciting. Good production.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park this year. And I literally just a few minutes before I was here, I was doing an episode of Best of 5, which is the weekly talk show / podcast that I do with Efren and Velociraptor and Donka on twitch.tv / best of the show,
which people should listen to.
You can't even see the thumbs up I did.
That's true. They're assumed. You've made your pitch. You've made people very happy. However, I will double down on that and say that it is a good show, worthwhile a watch. If you care about the FGC and you like an audio format of receiving information, or if you want an interactive form of information, because they typically stream it, that's like the main platform that they're working with. Go there, listen, join in the chat. It's a good situation. Highly recommend listening to that shit because you guys you're informative on a whole bunch of stuff, and I don't want to double down on because I know you just got done talking about a lot of stuff concerning Capcom Pro Tour and all that stuff, and we might touch upon that in this show just a little bit. Maybe get your own specific take on that if there's anything you want to share. But you cover basically all that stuff on your show.
We try, and it's one of those. It's still heavily Street Fighter focused because the reality is that's sort of where our bread is buttered. That's what generates the most interest, and it's also, the specialty of quite a few of us. But we try to talk about a little bit of everything. If I might not be able to tell you who's good in Million Arthur, but I can say, hey, this tournament's going on. You should probably check it out. It was cool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and like you said, you're covering Tekken World Tour, Smash, I'm sure.
Allegedly,
a little bit. There's not a lot of Smash guys on that panel. That's.
Mike came from Smash.
I know. That's the thing. He's the only one.
He's trying to distance himself, but he cannot ignore his roots.
Trying to distance himself. That is funny. But no, you're right though. You bring up a good point that it is this reality that I think we all have to still live in for just how it is. You look at the numbers. You look at even, let's say, like World Tour tournament payouts. Street Fighter is kind of where everyone's bread is buttered right now.
At least in this corner of the world. Now, True. In terms of entrant numbers and in terms of, viewership, I do really feel that there's a big 3 right now. I feel like Street Fighter 5, Tekken 7, and Dragon Ball FighterZ are in pretty good places. in those regards. It might not be like the rocket ship strapped esports purified air, rarefied air that we all thought it was going to be in like 3 years ago, but they're still pulling in very good numbers. They're still growing at a pretty good clip, and I think that's healthy. I think that you have more ways. My screen just went black.
You're okay.
Okay,
I can still hear you if you're if you've gone dark.
I'm back. I'm back. So, but yeah, I just feel like having so many games in a strong place is nothing but beneficial to the entire scene.
I 100% agree with you, and I think it's not just nice that all these games can do well. It's not just this like nice thing that we can have and say, oh, these games are all doing quite well. I think it's actually necessary. I don't think that the FGC can really move forward without raising the tide among all ships.
And I do think that eventually that if we do become as big as we all think we can be, it's not going to be the FGC. It's not going to be the fighting game community. It's going to be the Street Fighter community and the Tekken community and the Mortal Kombat community. And, we all kind of can bounce each other, bring each other up. But I do feel like at the end of the day, each game is going to have to stand on its own. So that
is the unfortunate end truth to this, that they're all working within their own ecosystems, let's say.
Right. Especially now with all the pro circuits popping up where, Capcom has their own thing instead of, 5 years ago, everything was building towards Evo. It was all Evo, all everything. And now, you've got Capcom Cup, you've got Tekken World Tour Finals, you've got Dragon Ball Z having their finals partner up with Red Bull. Mm-hmm. Even ArcSys has their own thing now. And ArcSys doesn't want to do anything. They've got their own circuit.
Yeah. I didn't dig into that Dragon Ball Red Bull announcement. Did I see somewhere in there that it was one and done, single limb?
It's been in the rules all year. They had that set up where if one person won all the Dragon Balls, that there'd be one tournament, one double elimination tournament, and then a grand final. If there were 7 different winners, there would be one double elimination tournament, and then whoever won was the last chance qualifier, and then you have a top 8 the next day. Mm-hmm. But since you've got either 4 or 5, depending on who wins cross up this weekend, you're going to have 3 or 4 open spots. So they're going to determine that in 3 or 4 single elimination tournaments. And, if you lose the first one, you can jump right into the second one.
It's going to get spicy. It's so spicy.
Did you watch, it was the KI World Cup a couple years ago, or maybe 3 years ago now, where they had that?
I did not.
Okay. That gets sort of nuts because you get like that one player who makes the deep run, makes grand finals and loses. And all of a sudden you're thinking, oh man, can they get back? Because they gotta, if they fall short, they gotta wipe that from their mind and jump right back into it.
Yeah, they can't come down off that hard. They gotta keep that steam engine running.
Yeah, so that is going to be really, really, it's going to be high drama when that goes down.
Yeah, when you describe it that way, yeah, it's going to be a lot of drama. And I think that those kinds of stories do well within the fighting game community. More opportunities for that. More opportunities for bracket weirdness in a good way. Not in like a Marn way, but in like a good way. I think is what the FG... Or maybe in the Marn way. Like some of that stuff...
Is Marn still a verb?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know. What year is it?
No, it would be an adjective, wouldn't it?
What year is it? This bracket got marned. Is that?
We are, let me make that reference after I have my Metamucil.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. Only people who've been around will remember. But no, so kids, look that up. By the way, just
only 80s kids.
Google search Marn bracket fixing, safe search off. That's definitely what you want.
Be careful about that safe search off.
That's what you want. That's the only way that it's been posted.
There's art of everything. There's fan art of me. Like that was perhaps the most, because right after we came back, or no, it was right after Best of 3 went off the air when we were at Daily Dot, when that whole thing was going down.
Yeah, and then you had that brief hiatus. It was pretty brief. You guys came back.
We came back, and then we come back, but that's a whole thing. But someone actually drew the 4 of us in the style of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
You know what? Yes, that was good art. That's good art right there.
Yeah, R3 draws. Follow him on Twitter. The guy is just insane. Man, insanely talented.
So you brought up something earlier that I want to touch upon and dig into a little bit. And it was something that you specifically said that really hit home to me. And it was when I asked, like, how do you know all the schedule stuff? Like, how are you in it? And your answer, it's because I'm the only one who does it. That hits my heart, man. That gets me. Because there's so many people, like, I don't want to take away from what you're doing, right? I don't want to say that it's easy to collect all this info and put it out there. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you are putting in the work.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think there's anything I do in terms of the FGC that is difficult. It's stuff that literally anybody can do. They just got to seek out the information. But, I just, man, I sort of become the schedule guy,
right?
And it was never really my intent to become the schedule guy.
Yeah, I guess what's the lore behind this? Is there any lore, or is it just what I assume it is? Here's the actual lore: is that you did it one week, and then the next week you were like, "Oh man, people really like that," so I'll put that together, and then maybe the next week someone was like, "Hey man, did you forget to include like time zones? I need that." And you're like, well, yeah, I guess I could add time zones. And it just started building to a point where you're like, you know what, this is out of control. And I guess I do. This is my life now. Oops.
It almost like that. This started all the way back. I want to say 2014.
That sounds right.
It was either NCR or SCR. I forget, but
I think it was NCR. I believe it was NCR, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because I think it was like I was looking on the Level Up Live site.
Yes.
Trying to figure out when Street Fighter was on. And I was like, man, I can't make a whole lot of sense of this. Let me kind of organize this for my own use so I can see when Street Fighter is, when Skullgirls is. And then I put that up on Reddit on our Street Fighter, and everyone's like, I got like 100 upvotes, which back in 2014 was, basically gold.
Yeah, this was when we were working with numbers of like 1,500 people, I want to say, back then. And this was not our Street Fighter. This was like our SF4.
It might have been, yeah.
This was back before we
that was
made
before the transfer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and I was like, dude, that's really useful. Thank you. Awesome. And I got upvotes, and of course I am addicted to upvotes because I need that validation. So
get that dopamine drip just hit you, and you went, ooh, that's
so
nice.
I made it for, was it Evo the next one, or maybe it was UFGT. But yeah, it was just basically I did it again, and then I did it again and again, and someone said, "Oh, that's nice, but I don't know when it's on in my area. I'm on the East Coast. How do I figure that out?" It's like, okay, I'll put some time some time zones on there. And then it just grew and grew, and all of a sudden it's like I am somehow a cornerstone of several tournaments marketing campaigns.
You know what the sad part is that is super accurate. That you, like a human, like just a random dude from the internet who is just like, you know what, I need to collect some information, has become the source of, if I need to share any information about my event, I know it's all collected here, even though I'm running my own fucking event. Like, how hard is it to get this information out there? I need that corner. I need that touchstone.
And it's so, and what saddens me about it really is because you have so many potential eyes out there that don't even know who I am. I mean, that's not the sad part. No one should really know me, but
no, like it's there's the principle there.
If you're like a, if you're like a Texas Throwdown, because Texas Showdown is actually good about this, so I'm making up Texas Throwdown just to be clear.
I was going to say, like that's not okay.
Yeah. So if you're starting a big tournament or a tournament that you want to be big, people should be able to find you somehow. And so many of these websites, so many of these Facebook pages don't have that way of finding this information quickly. I have an idea of where to look. If I don't see it in one spot, I can think, well, here, I can also check their Twitter. I can also check their Facebook page. Oh, I know this guy actually runs the event, or he seems connected to it. Maybe I could look at his Facebook, see if he's sent out anything about it.
Right, and you know that through a history of being around. Like, it's the same people every year, basically. There's a couple people who rotate in and out, but those places.
Yeah, I know those places. Someone who is a potential new guy or new girl or new person trying to get to check out this event isn't going to know that. And even if they did, they might not be, invested enough to do all that hard work, to do all that legwork. So I just wish that so many of these tournaments would be better about putting the scheduling information, putting registration information in one easy to spot place, whether it's smash.gg or their own Facebook page or their own website. Combo Breaker does a great job of this. Texas Showdown does a great job of this. The Big E's events do a great job of this. But there are so many others that just, you have to go through 4 or 5 different hoops just to find when Marvel's playing.
Like, for real. When schedules are not posted, and granted, schedules can't necessarily be posted without people knowing how many entrants they're going to have. I understand that part of it.
Right.
There's a logistics part that, things can't be done early, and we can talk about logistics later when we talk about scheduling. Or maybe not. This is kind of an aside. Fuck, man, it is a Tuesday when we are recording this, and it is a fucking Tuesday.
Of course it's Tuesday. It's always Tuesday.
Yeah,
have you learned nothing by now?
I know. I've joked about this, but I'm starting to think that it might be a good idea to start a segment on this show that's just called "I'm Not Mad, I'm Just Disappointed," and then talk about what has happened throughout the week, because it seems like Tuesdays every day now, but this Tuesday in particular has been rough.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of license-free music? Because you could totally make that a segment.
Yeah, I'll do it. No, it'll be like, is Mr. Rogers' theme?
No, that
free?
Is copy. Oh no, that is copyright protected.
Okay, all right. Dang. All right. Well, I'll think about it. I'll workshop whatever I can get.
I'm sure you've got a listener who can create a little 15-second ditty for a reasonable fee.
Yeah, something with like sad horns. I'm thinking like very like early
melancholy.
Yeah, but also like maybe early 80s. What's the word I'm looking for? Family drama / sitcom kind of bad music. That's the kind of bad thing I'm looking for. Or at least how I have it in my ear. But anyway, so back to the point though, in terms of scheduling, and at least like scheduling being hard, Capcom Cup scheduling, Chris Keg was like on Twitter being pretty transparent about what's going on and why things are the way that they are. And I thought that was pretty revealing. I might share a link to that in the show notes. I might not, depending on how upset I get about it. But I did find that pretty revealing, like in terms of what, or at least it made it obvious to more people of what all actually has to, what logistics have to, like what people actually legally need an amount of rest time before they can work again to run your event.
Right.
Like that's not something that the normal tournament viewer might think about. The person who's just going to show up on that day going, okay, like I get to view the thing. This is very good. I like the Street Fighter and I get to watch the best Street Fighter, but not thinking about, oh, there's like people who needed to like move equipment that they needed to hire and run things where legally they need to rest for 12 hours because that's how the laws are.
Not everyone's going to know that. Not everyone's going to care. They just want to see, they just want to see what they're not necessarily going to be as mad about, a 12-hour break because of labor laws as they are, for you got to add an extra hour to the runtime because of a halftime show involving, artists that are sort of kind of tangentially related to Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I love those guys. I really do. I hope they release President of the World as a single.
It is buck wild that they have not yet. Is it not?
I would throw money at that instantly.
I've seen so many people who've said, I would like this now, please.
But no, I just don't know if that's really the best venue for it's this whole thing where now you're not just a tournament, you're an esports event, and you have to do things that are going to catch all the eyes, or at least you think are going to catch all the eyes. Right. So you're not just talking about, let's see Tokido versus Daigo. Like, there's that rapper from Gorillaz. He's cool. Let me check him out. Oh, here's that guy who sang If You Must from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I got to check that out. Oh, they're playing Street Fighter as well? That's awesome. I just don't know how many of those fans exist.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude. It's one of those things where I actually don't understand the business metrics that Capcom is working off of. I'm sure there is a business plan there.
Of course there is.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Because I don't necessarily want to dig into... If people want to know my opinions about the sponsored content, I shared that in the previous episode. I had to get that out. Before I glibly go over that, is there something on this topic that you would want to really share? Is there something on your chest about the sponsored content that is perhaps bothering you, or maybe you like the sponsor? Because I think ads are fine.
I'm not. Yeah, we just talked about this briefly on Best of Five, but we didn't really have a chance to go in depth because we were trying to, get through everything to get to the Capcom Cup preview. Right. I just really feel like this makes sense if they're going to try free to play for either Street Fighter 6 or whatever their next fighting game offering is going to be. Mm-hmm. Because it feels like they're trying to do so many aspects of that with the game. Obviously this ad content that you can turn off, but you get extra fight money, which may or may not actually be extra because we might be turning down how easy it is to get fight money in the first place.
Right. It's 4 extra fight money, by the way.
It's 4 extra fight money.
4.
3 plus 1.
Yep. Quick mouse.
Oh my goodness. So why not make it 5?
Dude, I don't know how those numbers work. Somebody looked at those numbers and said 2 plus 2 is 4.
That's 5.
5 is a nice like round number, right? It's a nice
5 is almost nothing, but it seems like, oh, it's 5 extra. 4 indicates that you made the conscious decision not to go 5.
Yep.
You had to think about getting to 4. And that's almost scarier than just...
Yeah, they arrived at 4 through some math.
They calculated that. Because you don't just come out with 4 out of thin air.
You're right, because my ignorant ass, obviously, I would say, 5. That way, when you get 2 of those, that's 10. And then you get 10. That's a nice round number to work with. That's a nice even number that fits nicely into other numbers. 10 is a good number.
No, I just don't. But like I was saying, between that and the Fight Pass system, which I know a lot of pretty much any major fighting game is going to now, and the opportunity to buy in-game content, it feels like they're either testing the waters,
yes,
for the free-to-play model, or they're trying to get all the benefits of the free-to-play model while also getting your $60 up front. And I don't know how well they're going to be able to make that work if that's their plan. Because a lot of people are still burned by how Street Fighter V launched.
Right.
I don't know.
I guess here's my side take after hearing what you said and thinking about the subject for a little bit longer. And I spent a whole 15 minutes talking about this. This one really grinds my gears. I'm against it, but not even for like the AdSense. Like if they want to make it free to play and do all that stuff, I'm fine with it. But this really does seem like a test, specifically because they're only doing it with Capcom stuff right now. It's solely like in-house stuff. So what that tells me is that they're turning this on for metrics to sell to potential investors, potential sponsors in the future for when they plan on going free to play. And that extra fight money, that extra little bite that gets people to glob onto this and say, well, I might as well have it turned on, just only boosts their numbers in such a like false way that just feels gross in the worst ways.
I think had people known, like had this feature launched with the game, I think people would be a little more receptive to, or not receptive isn't even the right word, just sort of more. They just don't care.
Idea, because even at the time, there were free to play games like Dota existed, right? So like,
right.
They had the examples to go off of, so it wouldn't be that like people. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like people even back then were like, Street Fighter V might be free to play because other games have been free to play. The KI free to play.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, I think that might have scared off some people to the model, even though that game wasn't really made to make KI as big as possible.
Right.
That decision was made to make the Xbox as big as possible. KI was just a tool in that. But I think there is the potential for success there. If you follow that model of, okay, you've got like 3 or 4 fighters who are free, and then we'll bust out some new fighters and they're going to be a few bucks. And this absolutely feels like a test. This absolutely feels like either we were going to launch it a while ago and couldn't get it to work right, or we're going to do this heavily in 2019 and we're going to make this a big selling point in terms of boosting the CPT payout structure or whatever else they have going on next year.
Which, like, that stuff is good. Injecting that money into the community, I think, is positive. If they can find ways to get more for the scene, then I think that's good. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think
if they come out and say it.
Sure.
Because I think, the issue is if they say, okay, a portion of this is going to CPT payouts. Well, 80% is a portion. 2% is a portion.
Mm-hmm.
How big is that portion? There's going to be that sort of unease about it if there isn't some level of transparency. And maybe fighting game fans expect more transparency than they should, but it's going to be there.
Yeah, maybe. But at the same time, because I keep thinking about this, because I guess last episode is the last numbered episode. I had PB Geki on, and he's a big proponent of Fighting EX Layer, and they are extremely transparent with, like, they might as well tell people, here's our revenue. We're in the black this month. They might as well be saying that, like, the exact number, like, through Twitter, basically. They're very open and honest about it, and it's contrasting that with the very following week. It was like the following day after I recorded that episode with him that Capcom announced this, and I was like, oh man, oh brother.
Well, here's the question: how many copies did they sell?
I think did they? I'll have to look this up.
My guess would be somewhere less than 2.6 million.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! They did not sell.
Maybe like one or two off of that. Maybe, but it's when you're a small dev,
way different metrics. Like, to be clear, super different metrics. We're taught like decimal places, like way off.
And a super different audience too. Because I mean, if you're the type of person who picks up Fighting EX Layer, you're probably a pretty decent fighting game, pretty hard into the genre, which means that you've got so many options. Okay, you're thinking about Guilty Gear, you're thinking about BlazBlue Tag, you're thinking about Million Arthur, you're thinking about Unist. So you have to make that connection if you're a dev. You have to do something to make your game stand out from the rest. So I don't know if I doubt we'll ever get that level of transparency or anything close to that level of transparency, because Street Fighter simply doesn't need to.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But the other thing is that with the Street Fighter V, sometimes I feel like the way that you as the user inject actual money into the game isn't like ideal in a weird way. Does that make sense? Because the way
expand on that.
Because when I think about it, it's these costumes that people look at these costumes like Mecha Abigail, Mecha Geef, that brand new hot Ryu, which you can take him down to his skivvies, very hot. You can use the costume code, and he's just in Yuri and Thong. That's all it is.
Oh my goodness!
They made Ryu double hot.
I believe I have the vapors.
It's rather good. So they add that stuff to the game, but the way that they add it is through the extra battles, and give you no way to buy that with actual money, and then no way to inject like false fight money into the game through actual money. So they created this very, in my mind, this market that they've created makes like zero sense.
Well, they were supposed to have that Zenny when the game launched. And then they just never did. So I think that's a huge part of this is there was supposed to be that mechanic where you could buy fight money or obviously not fight money itself, but a fight money equivalent. Yeah. And it just never developed. So I wonder how much of that has impacted their plans.
Yeah. How much of that main structure has stuck around. Because in my mind, I'm like, man, if I could just buy a Mecha Abigail right now, I mean, I know it exists. That model exists. They have it. They can just release it. And if me, who doesn't like to show up to play very often, I don't have a lot of time to play, if it could cost me $2, maybe $4 for one costume, maybe $4. Let's just say they make it $5 for docking purposes. That's a lot.
No, they have shown that they come up to the number 4. So let's say $4.
Let's say it's $4 for just to buy that costume outright. And I want that costume. I don't have a lot of time. I'll just do it. But what they want you to do, which now makes sense with all of this like AdSense they've added into the game, is they want you to continually come back to the game. They want you to have that ad space turned on so that they can boost those metrics. Make the game a high selling item to people who might sponsor the game. Now, they might have good sponsors lined up. Like here's like Red Bull, I'm fine with it. They've been in the community. They've shown that they love the FGC and are capable of pouring the right amount of, care into this community that a lot of people want.
They advertise heavily, but they also get the rest of the details right whenever they jump into the scene. So people are willing to say, hey, I'm cool with that.
Right.
If you get the essence of what you're willing to do, people are going to love supporting you. Mm-hmm. People absolutely love when Red Bull comes in and runs an event because they see what happens with Red Bull Kumite. They saw what happened with the Red Bull Conquest series. And they're like, okay, I'm on board with this. I like what they've done so far. Give me that $6 Red Bull cocktail fake mocktail drink.
Yeah.
Mocktail, I think, was the...
That was bad. I had a couple, but okay.
I can't drink caffeine anymore. So I could not partake.
Well, you're probably better for it. That's kind of my one weakness is that I feel like Red Bull vodka is kind of a fuckboy drink, but I also think it tastes really good.
And really, that's what matters, right?
Listen, you got to be a man about tastes, and that's the one that's like a guilty pleasure. But also, don't have guilty pleasures; just have pleasures.
Exactly. Right? Give me some hard cider. Give me some Mike's Hard Lemonade. I'm a happy guy.
Shit, dude. Someone brought some woodchuck to my house a couple weeks ago, and it was in my house for a long time until I ran out of other beer, and I was like, you know what? I'll drink this. Let's see what this is like. Some cider's pretty good, like a dry cider. I'll fuck with that. That'll be okay. But anyway, folks, that's enough about drinking habits.
If you ever need a sponsor, Woodchuck Cider, I think they're... It's the original American hard cider. The original. Everyone else is a copycat.
Wow.
That's what they're saying, and you never lie in advertising.
Probably not. I mean, sure. Let them say
But they were made in 2011, so...
okay.
There might be some fudging of the numbers there.
That's a little suspect. See, I come from the land of Yuengling, which is America's oldest brewery. That's something I can believe. There's some facts behind that. I get down with some Yuengling.
I am not a beer person.
Okay, that's fine.
It's like it got ruined for me because my I used to live. Me and my brother used to live across the alley from a couple of other kids, and we were friends. So this one time we went over to to their place to meet up with them. Excuse me, and we went into their garage, which was sort of the dad's man cave, and it always smelled of stale beer and this burnt plant that I wouldn't quite figure out what it was until much, much later in life.
He was vaping hard, and then that. Okay.
So yeah, that sort of ruined it for me.
That's funny. No, I get it. That's fine. But speaking of things getting shitty real quick, let's talk about being a TO at Canada Cup.
Ooh.
I know, because we're a couple months out. It seems like this might be a little bit irrelevant. Why are you bringing this up? Specifically because one of the volunteers at Canada Cup wrote a fairly lengthy breakdown, pretty transparent, of everything that happened that weekend from like behind the scenes, which is a good indication of where things broke down in terms of team communication, organization communication, where if you take that into context with what happened during the tournament and how things proceeded via like whatever that looked like on stream versus whatever that looked like in the field, you can see it in this post. It makes total sense.
Yeah, that was a moment, Canada Cup, because I didn't go. I was watching as a viewer, or trying to watch as a viewer, more accurately. I don't think we'll ever have that sort of, energy / what the hell is going to happen now sort of feeling about a major event for a long, long time. Because there was, when they came out and tweeted out like, okay, the venue closes in like 30 minutes.
Oh my God, dude.
And they're going to cut our power. And you think like it's something that someone made up on Kappa, but it's guys like James Chen tweeting it out and guys at the venue tweeting it out. And it's sort of like this race against time. Like, oh my God, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Were you there?
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't get to watch. There was a point where after the stream got cut off, or after the big screens got cut off, or right before that, the stream died.
Oh, okay.
They cannibalized the stream to
they had to do
it.
that. Yeah, they moved all that stuff over for a recording station. Yeah.
So Anti was live tweeting it, and it was his phone pointed at the big screen. Then they cut the big screen off. So we were watching Anti pointing his phone at the actual monitor they were playing at from like 4 rows back.
Yep.
And that was how we were watching winners finals or losers final. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I feel for Lapchi, I feel for everyone involved, but that moment was just surreal.
That must have been buck wild from a viewer perspective of, hey, chat, where are we going? Anti's got a Periscope up, so I think there, right?
We were watching, because before that, they still had the Japanese stream going.
Yeah.
And then that cut off, and the Japanese commentators didn't know what was going on, so they're like, oh, bye-bye, and then they cut the stream.
So
if you could rewatch this in real time somehow, it would be the most amazing, befuddling experience you would ever have.
And I think that tied with specifically Canada Cup being, at least historically, having such a good record of year after year providing such good experiences for the players. And I don't know if you were, you weren't there, but I don't know if you saw people showing the setups on the floor, just how tightly packed it was, and knowing how understaffed that was they didn't have enough TOs. And then reading this report on, the front desk was way overstaffed all the time. Like, they could have helped, but they didn't know. They had no idea what was going on. There was just such miscommunication. There wasn't, like, very good training. This whole piece definitely worth a read, especially if you find yourself in a position of, I want to run an event. Maybe not at this high of a level, but I want to get an idea of, what are the pitfalls that someone could fall into. Just reading through this is just scathing. Yeah.
And on that note, there are, because I'm kind of spoiled. My local, and I say this because, in parentheses, because it's an 8-hour bus ride. But my closest major is Combo Breaker / UFGT before the Switch. And, I've gone to that and just had a blast. And everything is so well organized. And most every, contingency is accounted for. And you think if that's your first experience, you almost take that for granted.
Right.
Just how much execution, how much planning and forethought and backup plans and plans for your backup plans, how much of that it takes to make an event go look like it came out without a hitch.
Yeah.
There was someone from out in like Connecticut, I want to say, reached out to me like, dude, I'm running this tournament at this retro game event. What tips do you have? And I'm like, I don't know, but let me get you in touch with Rick.
Yep.
Combo Breaker Rick. And they had a very lengthy multi-day discussion about a lot of those things that I forgot to untag myself from. So I like open up Twitter and like I have 250 unread DMs.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
Yeah, I actually was going to bring Rick up specifically with this because the person who wrote this later privately, not even like very privately, because I'm sure he would openly share this, but specifically called out Rick and the way that he's run Combo Breaker. And 100% of my interactions with Rick have been, this guy gives all of the fucks. He's still got a whole bag of fucks to give, and he gives them out liberally. He's just dropping them everywhere.
I have no idea how he does what he does, because he's actually the guy who's my contact with the Tekken World Tour website. He's the guy who helped get me into that position, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. But just the amount of things that guy has played is just mind-blowing. And the fact that he can do so many of them so well.
Oh, yeah.
Pulled
off with such good execution. All right, so we can move away from this bummer of a tournament, but I do want to bring up one note specifically with this write-up, and it was that one of the main impetuses for this to even be posted was because this person hadn't been paid yet, and there were a number of people who had not been paid yet.
You fucks with people's monies, you're not going to have a good time.
It's December, dog. It's December. Now,
that said, I don't know if they're waiting on other payments to be received before they can make their payouts. I know there was a big ass delay with Injustice Pro Series this year because there were so many hangups in getting that straightened out. So I don't have any information on Canada Cup in particular, but I do know that it can take quite a while for those wheels to start turning.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on from that premiere tour, maybe talk about some good stuff that happened. And I kind of want to just touch on this briefly because it seems like it was only ever briefly talked about. It's something that I thought was super highly produced. a beautiful tournament experience. But did it even get the coverage that it deserved? I don't know. I'm talking about, of course, the Gfinity Elite Series. Which just ended. The 8th. I have that right? Hold on. Why am I... Yeah, I'm bad with dates. It ended on the 8th. So this was this past weekend.
This past Saturday.
And I mean, the whole series has been like super well produced. A lot of big names attached to it and delivered by Dominos. You got to attach that to it.
Of course.
It's because, you got to sling some hot zaws. Are
we still calling them Zaz?
I don't know. Are they hot and ready? I don't know what to call them. Like
hot and ready is
that's Little Caesars.
Little Caesars, yeah.
I don't have like a good like fun name for Domino's Fun Pizza because it's basically trash you shovel into your mouth. Or is it? I don't know. They changed their recipe, and I haven't been back to Domino's in a long time.
It's seasoned trash,
Okay.
It's like, it's not great pizza, but you know what you're getting. It's like if you're going to, if you want a culinary experience, you don't go to McDonald's, but you eat at McDonald's anyway because sometimes you just want a freaking McNugget.
Yeah, or if you're, say Big Bird or for example.
That, man, I don't know why. I don't know why. It's... Big Bird, I am so glad that you love some aspect of American culture. I just wish it wasn't that one.
And if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, maybe peruse that dude's Twitter feed and search McDonald's, McD's.
Just wait till he goes to an event.
Yeah, that's really all you need to do because that'll be the first thing. Like at the airport that he arrived at, basically. He'll be slamming that McDonald's.
To each their own.
Yeah, that's fine. Not going to judge them. But what I will, I'm not. We don't have to talk about it at length. But I do want to say that you guys should go back and watch some of the replays. There was actually really good. Like they tweeted out like a really good replay video of like a recap of all that happened. And again, like delivered by Domino's. But guess what? That Domino's money, they paid for that delivery. They paid for that delivery, and then they delivered good. On time.
There are a couple things that bother me with Gfinity because this is a series that should be doing so much more than it is in terms of penetration of the fighting game market.
Yeah.
One, I don't know what their financials are. I don't know how much of an incentive that Facebook gives them to be the exclusive home. But not having it on Twitch is just such a missed opportunity in my book.
Yeah.
It's where the FGC lives for, and not having it there. Not having it there, even as like the secondary stream, have Facebook be the primary home, but like, I don't know. It just needs to be there. And I don't think they have the team format quite right. It feels very much like the example I use is last year or season 3, which was earlier this year. CCL's team was fighting for a playoff spot going into the last weekend. And CCL that weekend was also running Brussels Challenge, I believe it was, whatever the Belgian event was, because he was the TO. So he went, and a couple other of his teammates, the first choice teammates, went. So it was basically that team's backups fighting for a playoff spot. If your team, if the players involved treat it like a second choice event, then it's hard to get fans invested in it. And they have to do, I feel like they have to do a better job of avoiding crossover with CPT events.
It's so hard because it's every week, dude.
I've been a long proponent of CPT taking the Thanos treatment to half of its events.
Yeah. Hell yeah, I'm for that. The unfortunate part is that hurts so many little tournaments.
Right, and it really does. It feels like CPT, they put their stamp, if you're a CPT event, Capcom has put their stamp on your scene. Like, I go through brackets, and how many times if I look up a Peruvian event, it doesn't call itself by its name. It calls itself CPT Peru or CPT Belgium or what have you. Mm-hmm. So it feels like it's validation. And for expanding the brand, for expanding Street Fighter's reach, that's absolutely the right decision. But in terms of looking at it just as a fighting game circuit, there's no reason you should have multiple premier events in the same weekend. There's no reason you should ever have 4 events in one weekend, because it happened a few times.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing I was really happy about Tekken World Tour doing, because they basically, there was one weekend where you had multiple offline events. Just one. Everything else, if you were a Tekken fan, you knew this was the event to watch, and this is where I'm going to see all the best players. So that's going to be where I focus my attention. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're looking at it just from a Pro Tour perspective, I really, really hope Capcom follows that lead next year.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I agree with you, but also I disagree with you, because I super agree. Tons of burnout, both on players and viewers, just hella burnout. Too much Pro Tour. I don't care about the storylines anymore. I'm disinvested. But also, when I look at something like the Latin American region, which kind of got the short shrift on a lot of the premier business, but also sending like a whole bunch of players, it's like, maybe do we just keep all of those and take some away from North America? I think North America could just get slashed in half, honestly, and say, hey, you guys fucking travel.
I think everybody could get slashed in half, honestly. I think, because I've got the spreadsheet here. That's the secret to my powers. I have a massive spreadsheet where I have all the CPT results. I have the Tekken World Tour results.
So your superpower is just workflow?
My superpower is just I do grunt work. With
you have data collection. Yeah, you've already built the machine. The gears turn on their own at this point.
More or less. Like, I was hoping like I'd be able to bust out a new spreadsheet, but I can't because of the overlay between the ArcSys system or ArcSys season and CPT 2019 when it's announced. If you ended in February, I could say, okay, I can stop here. But no, you're going to continue till July or August.
Those goddamn air dashers.
I always getting you. I tell you, you got one game with 2 Scythe characters, and all of a sudden we're gonna ruin Steve's plans.
That's another really good way of putting it that I didn't think about. It's pretty good.
But yeah, just cut it in half, or cut it. Cut 30%. You're not doing yourself any favors by having 13 Pro Tour events in the month of August.
That's like the weird dichotomy of thinking where I think there's too many events, but also think that there's a lot of regions that are underrepresented, which is like,
why?
2 terrible problems.
When has Latin America had a weekend to itself outside of the Latin American finals? And even that, because I thought that was on the same weekend as something else.
Yes, it was. That was during. Was it the it was online one for Southeast Asia?
It was.
Was it that, or am I mistaken?
No, it was on its.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
But it's like, outside of that, it's pretty much every time there was a Latin America event, there was something else going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you've got like Tokido and Fudo at one event and you've got Kaba at another, Kaba's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
But you ask the average fan, they'd rather watch Daigo and Tokido. You're splitting your audience in so many different directions.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, and I understand that the only way to truly prevent that is if Capcom controls the events themselves to make sure there's not that much overlap. And that's something I am very, very, very wary of happening.
Yes. But
I just feel like, okay, next year, 40, 45 events. Just let each event breathe a little bit. And I feel like even with fewer events, you won't have that big of a drop in watch time or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think that naturally leads into the finale of the Capcom Pro Tour, which is Capcom Cup, which is coming up this weekend. Last chance qualifier starting on Friday, right?
Yes.
And then leading into top 32 on Saturday and finals on Sunday.
With the halftime show. Don't forget about the halftime show.
You know what? It completely slipped my mind. Go figure. However, with that said, it is shaping up to be a good tournament. I think looking at this bracket before we begin, we're going to get some good matches right off the jump.
Oh, yeah.
Right out of the gate.
The one I'm looking forward to is Daigo Punk first round.
Yeah, that's going to be such a good set. I actually don't know who's going to win that. I probably lean Punk. I think the joke to be made there is that Punk will win 2-1 over Daigo, and then a week later, Daigo will challenge Punk to a first to 10 and beat him 10-0.
Yeah, that's I don't know of anyone who's better at long sets. Like his mentality, his approach to long sets is just far and above what anybody else is doing.
Yeah, he is the Batman of the long set in that when nobody can beat Daigo when he has time to prepare.
And he's had a couple weeks to prepare.
Yeah,
that's true. That's the scary part here. I feel like whoever wins that, like,
they have a good shot. They have a good shot.
You say that, but I mean, that same quarter of the bracket, you've got NL,
Kaba,
NL Storm Kubo next match. You've got Kaba in that. You've got Fujimura.
Fucking Fujimura. Oh god, that's the thing. I could throw a dart at this board and say you've got Mena. You've got Jay Wong. You've got.
My favorite part is that, you know, as little respect as Latin America gets in general, I feel you have this event where you have a Dominican player as the reigning champion, and the guy who could replace him could very well be a different Dominican player. Like Kaba, he's got a tough draw early. Like, it's going to be tight for him to get through Cien.
I think he can beat Cien.
He can, but
I think he's got it over Cien. But it's going to be tough. If Angry Bird somehow beats Fujimura, could happen.
Oh no, it's going to be Piccolo Fujimura.
Oh fuck. You're right. I'm looking at an outdated bracket. I'm looking at the one before. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation we could have, which it seemed like you were the only person who understood. You actually might have been the only person who understood outside of the computer that runs this at Capcom HQ. I think you were the only human being who was like, well, these are the people who are getting into Capcom Cup based on the numbers, and then Crossover RD had to say, sorry, can't can't do it. And then was replaced by Picaro, which that makes sense if you look at the global leaderboard, but also that means that they didn't send anyone from winning or from the tournament of the Latin American regional finals, which I think is weird.
No. He was the runner-up at the regional final. Yeah.
Was he?
Was he? Well, let me double check.
Yeah, hold on. Latin regional finals.
Because that was, let's see. No, he was second in the regional final.
Okay, I don't know why I was. I guess I thought maybe. So here was my. Yep. Nope. I got that backwards. So I think in my mind I was told that he didn't have his visa.
Oh, see, but that move has been absolutely consistent with the way Capcom has handled these things. Anytime someone hasn't been able to make Capcom Cup, they have always gone with the next person up via the path that the person they're replacing got in. Right. So remember last year with Knuckle-Doo not making it, he got replaced by the runner-up. He got in by winning Capcom Cup, so they replaced him with the Capcom Cup runner-up, Ricky. Yeah, so it's 100% consistent.
Okay, and I guess I don't know why I was mistaken in that. Then I don't know why I thought that Picaro was through on global points. That also doesn't make sense because I think, gosh, he was at the edge of it.
Brolinho was the next Latin American player up through the global leaderboard.
Okay. So yes, that does make sense. That tracks. I was in the wrong. See, that's the thing though. I came at it thinking wrong, thinking that I knew fucking what was up, but I fucking didn't, because this shit is like, it's confusing, and I even think I pay attention to it, but I am confused. But maybe it's because I don't read.
Well, that's part of why I got in, why I was able to write in the first place.
Yeah.
Because going back to like the end of the first CPT season, it was me and this other person who was basically breaking down the points like, okay, he won, he finished third, but he really improved his chances because all these other guys who were near him didn't do so well, so he's in a good spot right now. And there really wasn't anybody else that was doing that at the time. And that was really the big calling card when Efren, he basically reached out to me through Reddit and said, hey, do you want to do this for a living? Or not a living, because esports is not that financially.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation when you talk about how many people in this business are actually making livings off of it instead of just supplemental income, and that's like 10 people total.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I am not one of those 10.
Right.
But yeah, it was basically the big draw when I was talking to Kevin Morris, who was the Daily Dot esports editor, is basically like, okay, there's an audience for this. There are people who want this information. No one else is supplying it. We can make some headways here. So he gave me a shot, and I'm grateful that he did. And I don't know where else I was going with that.
No, because that's where I got stuck, right? It's that I thought, so here was my thing, is that I was under the impression that Picaro did not apply for a visa. And that was at the time where Crossover had just been declined the visa to travel to the U.S. So I got all confused, but not the case. He's good. He's good to travel. We're okay. Because I guess in my mind, I thought it was going to go to Doomsnake because he had placed third.
We thought so too, because he was actually in the last chance qualifier bracket already. So we thought like, okay, Picaro, he may or may not make it. Doomsnake is definitely going to be there, so they don't have to worry about the visa. But
Yeah, that was my whole thought process as well. So I'm right behind you on that. But no, fuck it, I was wrong. But other than that, I guess I don't think we should go through and talk about the entire bracket. It's going to be fucked up right out of the gate. But is there anything in this bracket that maybe like stand out to you, or you thinking any upsets that you're going to see, or maybe like wish lists of what you want to see in the finals here?
Oh man, I think if you look at the bottom half of the bracket, you've got some absolute bangers. You've got Fujimura versus either Kaba or Cien second round.
Yep.
You've got either Daigo or Punk going to losers first round. You've got the defending champion, the defending Capcom Cup champion versus the reigning Evo champion first round. You've got whoever wins that killer last chance qualifier bracket in there. And like, oh yeah, you've got an Evo champion down there in Luffy. You've got Justin Wong down there. You've got Mago. I feel like the bottom half of the bracket, with all due respect to everyone up top, because there are plenty of great names, but it's just going to be like every match is a banger down there. And I really feel like whoever wins Kaba Cien can do a whole lot of damage.
Yeah. I think I'm behind you on that. Also with the Problem X and Mena match, I think that's going to decide things in the bracket here. I think it was actually interesting, and I don't know if you looked at this, but Glenn of the Game 2K,
who until like a few weeks, like a month ago, I called the game Thwok.
Yep, 100%. I called him the Game to Walk.
like as soon as like, oh, you mean Glenn? You mean the Game 2K?
Yeah,
it's just a light bulb came on. Like,
it's just not something that you were forced to say out loud because you had only interacted with him through Twitter, and then you go, oh, yeah, that does make sense. But anyway, his bracket, the way that he ran it, very much by the numbers. The dude has fucking data, which is totally worth looking into if you are into the whole numbers thing. And he ran the numbers, and he ended up with, in grand finals, Gotcha-kun versus Punk. And he had Gotcha-kun taking it. I don't see that happening, in all honesty.
Because he'd have to get through Big Bird, which isn't exact. You know, they played each other real tight at Red Bull Kumite last chance qualifier, and then Tokido
right after.
You know, no disrespect to Angry Bird, but I don't see how Tokido wouldn't be the heavy favorite in either of those matches.
Yeah,
and then you've got either Oil King or Knuckle Dew or Itazan. Itazan is scary.
Itazan is one of those characters that I think, not characters, but players that sometimes he can just fucking deliver. Like the whole the Rage series, right?
Yeah, he killed it.
Delivered. Which also, another tournament series that didn't get a whole lot of coverage because it was on Open Rec and not on Twitch. But anyway.
Yeah, it's... Anyway, moving.
Sorry to like make everybody sad for just going, oh damn, like yeah, there's some good matches over there that no one really got to watch, or like there wasn't anything sending people that way. But anyway, yeah, like he could show up and he could beat or fucking Fudo could come back and make a strong run through the bracket. I don't know at this point
if he survives that first round matchup with Chris T.
Yeah, that's the thing. That could go either way. That one could go either way. But then you have CJ Truth, who's on a fucking roll. God damn.
See, CJ, I think with the momentum he had, I would like him in almost any against almost any other. But I don't think he's going to out Cammy Xiaohai.
Yeah,
that's one of the worst draws.
Xiaohai did learn Sailor Moon in about a day and bodied everybody.
That guy is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he did.
How salty would you be if, like, You show a guy how to play a game that he's never touched before, and then he wins your tournament 24 hours later.
Yep.
I like, see how high is ridiculous. I just wouldn't know what to do with my life.
You question a lot about like where time is valuable, worth investing in. But yeah, that's another dude who could make a lot of upsets and go pretty far. But I think that and this is like, I feel crazy for saying this, but I think my dark pick is Punk going far in this tournament. I think that Punk will either go far or the winner of Problem X and Mena RD will go far.
Oh man,
potentially grand finals talk, which is like a hard call out early on. I know, but
we just did our random picks, and we had the rule that you couldn't pick the same player to win.
Okay,
so Efren got Kaba, and somehow I got last pick, and I still got Fujimura.
That's bananas.
So that's ridiculous. Even though Kaba Sien is gonna be whoever, right, assuming he gets through Piccolo, which I think he will. Even though I think that's going to be a massive match, I see Fujimura doing really well.
Yeah,
I think he can take it, but
it's kind of been his year. He's kind of wiped the floor with everybody. At least everybody in this bracket he has beaten handily.
But just, the thing about this tournament is you think Fujimura is going to win. That means he outlasts Daigo and Punk. That means he outlasts Problem X. That means he outlasts Justin, Punk. All before you get to winners finals.
Yeah, this is all lead. This is before top 8. What are we talking about?
That lower half of the bracket is just so stacked. And watch
watch like Bonchan. This is the dark horse pick. Bonchan with Sagat all the way.
Oh God, everybody would. I don't think that's going to happen, but
fuck no, goodness. Fuck hell no, that's not going to happen.
As soon as. I can just see, as soon as he hovers over Sagat, just everyone runs to Sage like, no, don't do it. Like it's a hostage situation.
Yeah, you just see
like you've got a family to think about. You've got a family to think about. Don't make this mistake. You'll regret it for the rest of your life.
That would be something. I'd pay to see the Tiger on stage, but that's just me. And I do love Sagat in this game. I love Bonchan. And everybody should love Bonchan. He has done a fucking ton of good works in Japan. His like Fight Bus tour that he's done was... I'm so fucking jealous of that shit. But anyway, so that's... Any other dark horse picks or something out of this bracket you want to point out before we move on?
I think you've got... One of the big stories is just the global growth of this game over the last few years. I mean, you think of countries that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see as powerhouses of Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 players from the Dominican Republic. Should have been 3.
Yeah.
You've got 2 players from UAE, and just how big of a run that Middle Eastern esports has had in the fighting game.
I've been saying they've been dope for so long. Oh man,
and like this year's
good for fucking ever.
Big Bird's been on that grind, and Angry Birds made that come up.
Yeah.
Even in Tekken, they Furson signed the Evo champion and the Tekken World Tour champion under the belt. It's oh my goodness, those scenes out there have just exploded so much, and I think like I would not be shocked if one of those guys makes a run.
Yeah.
Through losers bracket. I don't think they'll get past Tokido, but it like they could do some damage.
Yeah. Like who knows? That would be incredible. And I think that speaks to, like you said, the growth of the community as a whole. I mean, we can look at the day-to-day and see a bunch of negativity and just there have been days where I look at the internet and I just go, nope, done. I'm done today. You fuckers can just lock it up. We're done. Today might have been one of those days, in fact. But then you turn around and you look at the growth of so many small pockets of communities, and you see a lot of people out there pushing locals, and you go, you know what? There's so much actual good going on that is worth focusing on, and there's value there. So maybe if you see like a Big Bird or an Angry Bird run, or I don't even know. You see Mena come back and take it again. You have stories like that from that region where it's like, you see Kaba go far or something like that, and say, look at those communities. Look how much work they've put in. There's something to say about that.
Yeah. And, hopefully it's something that we continue to see in 2019 and beyond.
Yep.
Because that would be, I want to see, I want this to be an even more international tournament, and that, that I would like Capcom Cup to grow to a point where they believe they can have some success outside of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, just thinking about how often we've seen players run into visa issues here, Yeah,
there was actually, if you listen to and this is for the listeners, there's an episode with Mono PR about the traveling issue in that region. He did a really good job of breaking that down and explaining what the problems are for those players, which is, at least that opened up my eyes, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I love this country more than anything. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
But I would, I don't want to see Capcom Cup leave the US altogether, like permanently. I would love to see like a rotating thing.
Traveling tour.
Because like Tekken has done that, and that's something that I've really liked.
Yeah.
And I hope that maybe these other games like ArcSys, they're going to have their finals here. Maybe 2019's final or the 2020 finals, if they have it, maybe that will be back in Japan. I would love to see these world events, these world finals, truly feel like world finals instead of just big tournament in the United States number 313.
Yeah, maybe they do it like a what is that European or like not European? Well, I guess most
Eurovision.
Eurovision. Maybe they do like a Eurovision. Whoever wins Capcom Cup, that's where we hold it next year.
Oh God, can we do phone voting too?
Yeah. Let's do that. And then we end up somehow bankrupting Ireland again. So
that won't end up poorly at all.
I can't see how that would end up poorly.
No, because when you combine Twitch chat and national, it's going to be smooth sailing all across the.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, hell yeah. But honestly, if you look at it, hey man, if that was the case, we would be in the Dominican Republic this year.
That would be.
We wouldn't have had the visa problems.
Maybe
we would have a whole other set of problems. I'm sure.
There is no perfect solution out there. I just want to see some different problems come up.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's get weird with it. But okay, I think that covers all the topics on the slate for today. But before I let you go, I have to ask you the same question I've asked all new guests when it is their first time on the show. And it's a two-part question.
Fire away.
That comes in the form of, what is your favorite normal attack in any fighting game?
Favorite as in the one I like the most, or favorite as in the one I use?
I think however you answer this question speaks to your character personally. And I think that however you choose to answer, however you feel in your heart, is the right answer.
I think the one I relied on most was Ken's crouching medium kick in Street Fighter. But the one I liked the most was Skullgirls. Ooh. The Crouching Roundhouse of Philia. Because that's where she launches her opponent by flicking her hair back. And I was just so jealous of that illustrious mane. Like, I just figured, like, why can't that be me? That could have been me.
Let me tell you about him. Long hair ain't all cracked up to be. Sometimes you gotta wash it.
You know what sucks is like, I went through male pattern, because I have alopecia, which is why I'm bald. So, and I can get away with that now, but like, I went through male pattern baldness in reverse when I was like 5 or 6. Oh, no. So you see me, like, I had like a big Jackson 5 afro when I was like 4. And then 2 years later, I've got like half of that afro thinned out in like looking like half black George Costanza.
That's a very good image.
It was not the most conventional of looks.
Not a lot of people wearing the half black Costanza.
No. Maybe more people should. I think I was ahead of my time.
That's good. That's really good. Okay. But that does speak to your character a little bit, I think. That's a good talking point. And you can have 2. That's the other rule, is that there are no rules, so you're allowed to answer however you like.
Okay, I'm going to take full advantage of that here.
The part 2 of this question, similar to part 1, what is your favorite combo in any fighting game?
Oh, God. Okay. They're both going to be Ken.
Okay.
The one that made me feel the best was crouching short, crouching jab, stand jab, heavy DP, cancel into super, and then juggle with Ultra One.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's one that, like, okay, I've got hit confirms, even though it starts with 3 jabs, because my reactions are not all that great. But yeah, I've got hit confirms. But the one I've probably relied on most throughout my life, jumping roundhouse, crouching roundhouse.
No. No.
You can't mess with the classic.
The classic.
It's a classic. It always works.
Oh, I'm dying over here. You're not wrong. The thing is, you're not, well, when you say always works, sometimes in Street Fighter 2 that doesn't work. There's too much pushback on the jump. Anyway, that's a whole other story.
That don't count. That don't count.
Street
Fighter, the fighting games were invented in 2009. It always works.
You can quote that. Put it on the back of the box. Fighting games were invented in 2009.
Have that like a yearbook photo of me with my half black George Costanza look.
That's a good one.
Fighting games were invented in 2009. Weird quote to attribute to a 6-year-old in 1990, but you know, it is what it is.
It was you were saying sooth. You were a soothsayer back then. Speaking of future,
I was psychic or psycho, one of the two. Always get them confused.
Man, you started off with like Ken super combos, and I was like, man, Ken does have some really cool super combos. He's got some like cool links into super that were fun. Because it comes out really fast, and then links after it are really cool. It does a lot of damage, but then jump roundhouse, crouch roundhouse. What a period at the end of that sentence.
You know what? I'm not gonna front. If I hit you with that, I have won. Yeah. Simple as that.
That's the cream and sugar right there. One of each. Let it rock.
You know what? I could do more. I could totally do more. I swear. I just don't have to.
You're killing me. Well, before we go though, that is the end of the show, folks. But but I need to ask you. It's been a pleasure having you on, by the way. Thank you for spending the time doing the Best of 5 show and then immediately coming over here and recording this. So I thank you to your voice for holding up.
It has been an absolute pleasure to be here. I had a ton of fun. Anytime, sir. Hopefully, if I come back, it will be on a day where you don't run into any cars that are 100% on fire.
It was 100% on fire. No percent of that car was not on fire. It was like a cartoon almost. It was like it was a set of a movie, like fake fire. All of it was on fire.
We're talking like Simpsons level.
Yeah.
Not even like a realistic, like a Michael Bay movie, car on fire. It would be excessive, but still kind of realistic.
Yeah, because a Michael Bay car fire that lasts forever. That's the car fire that lasts forever.
And so many angles. So many cuts.
It's all cuts. Some of them are moving. Some of them are wide shots, but you never know which angle you're going to look at it from. No, that's a good pull. Where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at AceKingOffsuit, the poker term, on Twitter and on Reddit if you want to look at me there for some reason. And then I do Best of 5 along with a few very talented people, Efren Salinas, John Guerrero, and Mike Schiller. We talk about fighting games. We try to do a good job of that. We don't always succeed. But yeah, we're on Twitch, Twitter, SoundCloud, and iTunes, all under Best of V Show. V being the Roman number for 5.
Mm-hmm. You can probably find that anywhere you get your podcasts. Just enter that in. You'll find it, I'm sure.
And we've got a Discord too as of a few hours. So I don't have the link, but it's, it exists. So follow us and get your way into
I'm sure that Discord link will be shared somewhere, I'm sure, on one of those social media platforms that you have just previously mentioned.
Yes, probably. And if it's not, then I am going to get fired.
All right. Well, hopefully not. And again, folks, you can join this show every Thursday night. Don't forget to check out the Monday night tournaments and also Friday night tournaments if you're on the West Coast. We ran a really cool 3v3 this week that had some really exciting matches. Definitely worth a watch. Won't do that again for a while. We'll be back to our regular schedule next week. We probably won't have the Friday one, depending on how Capcom Cup viewership is. And there's a lot of people out there for Last Chance Qualifier. Like I know Chris CCH, who frequents that tournament, is going to be out there. Nacer is sponsoring him for that trip. But anyway, folks, that's a show. And we'll catch you again next week. Again, you can find me at Super Joe Monday or at Reddit SF on Twitter, or just hit me up on Reddit at Joe_Monday. But until next time, folks, take care.
Follow the hardest working man in the fighting game scene right here.
AceKingOffsuit is who you want to follow for that.
No.
Yep.
Joe.
I meant it. I've cut you off minutes ago. No one even heard that.
Damn it.
All right. Take care, folks.
Good night.